Welcome to the InforMaven AI Update, a podcast for higher education administrators to discuss the practical use of AI and intelligent agents. I'm JD Mosley-Matchett, the founder and CEO of InforMaven, and this month our guest is Dr. Ruth Slotnick, the Director of Assessment at Bridgewater State University. To hear the entire interview, please visit informaven.ai. What do you wish you had known in 2022 at the beginning of your AI journey? Now, we all have perfect 2020 hindsight. So if you could go back to 2022 and give advice to yourself at the beginning of your AI journey, what would you say? And what do you wish you had known?
Yeah, it's like such an interesting question because I think I tell myself three things. Start experimenting more and sooner. Although I'd say I was pretty prolific. I mean, I put myself out there on LinkedIn. I connected with some of the brightest minds and voices. I scanned the headlines. I followed the stock market. I tested frontier models. I watched the latest updates. As they progressed, I followed the drama on OpenAI, on X. I read articles in the New York Times. I read the Substacks, the blogs of Lance Eaton, Donald Clark, Peter Shea. I listened to webinars, both in higher education and in business and outside of business in the health sector. And I also listened to lots of podcasts, including a podcast that brought on students, both grad and undergrad, to share their experiences, which was really eye-opening, including one graduate student said she's concerned that people will start talking like the bots themselves, like, I'm going to do a deep dive, or, kind of words that crucial, the sort of words that the bots, pumps out over and over again. Her concern was that we're going to start talking like the bots. So sometimes when I say, well, we're going to do a deep dive or a deep research, am I starting to talk like a bot? I even co-presented with colleagues at assessment conferences in the state of Massachusetts, at the Assessment Institute, right, at AAC and U Conference. So I feel like, I have been out in front. And yet when I look back, I keep thinking I wasn't in it enough early enough. So what is that about? I think that's really about, as I said prior, it's kind of the fire hose moment where information is coming at us so fast and so quickly, we always feel like we're behind. And even in 2022, I just felt, at some points I felt like, okay, I'm on top of the conversation. And I take a day off from the technology and from social media. And the next thing I know is I get onto LinkedIn and there's, hundreds of people presenting models of really interesting ways to think about generative AI and how we do, how we use it in higher education. Maria Prashik, who's in Europe, she's very much in the space talking about higher education use and teaching and education overseas. And Donald Clark is in England. So when you start looking at the higher education world, AI is actually bringing us closer together. We tend to stay in our national sort of states of mind, but I think this general purpose technology, as Ethan Mullick calls it, the GPT, is different than any we've ever had before. Henry Kissinger's new book on Genesis talks about this polymath, this type of person who is so bright in science and math and technology. We have relied on that polymath for many centuries, and AI is the new polymath. It's very different than anything we've ever experienced before in higher education, and it is disrupting higher education. So, when I look back, I wonder what I could have done more of, and I think I did all that I could at the time, and I'm doing all that I can now, realizing that I'm not an AI expert, and I'm just looking at where's my opportunity to integrate in my field, and where is the opportunity for me to inspire others to maybe get off the fence a little bit and try it. There are plenty that are just going to resist and say, there's no way I'm even going to try this technology or use that technology. And I think that's going to put them at an increasing disadvantage. Many people have said this before, AI won't replace you, but someone who is really fluent and has the ability to experiment in the space may replace you. One of the questions we ask in our survey, this may be kind of a good wrapping up point, but one of the questions we ask is, do you see AI being integrated into a call for a position in your office in the future? Like, will it be, you have to know Excel, you need to know how to use Qualtrics, maybe there's some, other kind of data analytics software you need to use. And do you know how to use generative AI and integrate AI into disciplinary perspectives? Like, what is your fluency to be there? And if you can't speak of that fluency now, you got to get in the space so that even if you're not going to use it, you know how to talk about it. You know where it's at currently. You know that this model just revised itself to add this additional thing over here. And so if you're not in that space, you got to get in that space and you got to be part of the conversation. And it's nothing we've ever seen before. I also think that the community college space is going to be an interesting space to watch. Why? Because the community colleges have always served students in terms of access. It's always served students in terms of local, and it's always served students in terms of workforce readiness. And so if we're talking about being ready for the workforce, I am worried about some of the universities and state colleges and privates that are not actually tackling, are we preparing students for AI readiness and fluency and ethical use, intellectual property, sustainability? Are we preparing them for the future? So as we look ahead, where can you also influence your university to step up? So, these multiple roles that we play as assessment professionals aren't just in just how we experiment it and we get out of our own way as a barrier, but we actually build our campus collaborative structures within and around each other now, where we can all serve the needs of students in terms of all students have an equitable chance upon graduating to be leads in the space when they enter a field, right? So that's my greatest hope, is that we all sort of look ahead in terms of what does the student need, not what is my resistance, and I don't want to be in this technology, or I'm going to wait on the sidelines till it comes along, or I don't have the capacity. We can't wait. It's happening. It's happening in higher education, and it's happening in the workforce. So higher ed needs to be a player, be a part of it.
Precisely. Please visit InforMaven.ai to hear the entire interview.